So if people were to look at your life, how many people would say, hey, I want to follow this guy's plan. He's got a plan for living that I want to follow. I mean, this guy's really got something going on. This gal kind of got it all figured out. See, my thesis is that people don't arrive in my YouTube channel on the wings of victory. This isn't just like one more thing to add to the CV. Okay? My thesis is that like attracts like, and a broken, humiliated person like myself attracts similar people. So I'm 52 years old and I have nothing saved for retirement. I have just a few $1,000s in the bank. Just finished off paying off all my credit card debt, which 2.5 years ago was about $50,000. And I've never been married, I don't have kids, don't own any real estate. And so I don't think anyone's going to look at my life and go, wow, Luke Ford, he's got a plan for living. I mean, this guy's got it figured out, right? So people look at your life and they're going to say, wow, this guy's got it figured out. Press 1 in the chat room. If people look at your life and go, no thanks, I don't really want to know, what this person's plan for living is. I'm just going to take a big old pass on that. Press 2 in the chat room. So I may have the gift of the gab. I maybe have to stream for hours, but not many people are going to look at my life and go, whoa, Luke Ford, he's got a plan for living. I want to emulate that. I want to be just like this when I grow up. No. So I'm not arriving at this stream on the wings of victory. This stream is not, the final piece in my masterpiece that is going to get a glowing front page New York Times cover profile. So, first step is admittance. Whatever your addiction, if it is sex, money, debting, overeating, porn, destructive relationships, rescuing other people, being rescued, anger, whether you're addicted to a process or a substance. First piece in recovery is admittance. Okay, admitting that your plan for living from an outsider's perspective is not working out. I came to LA at age 27 and pretty much all my peers were in my boat, just kind of starting out, it seemed. But there was more going on than meets the eye. They had all sorts of wheels and gears turning, and one action was leading to another. They were making progress, they were getting married, they were having kids, they were getting a mortgage, they were moving ahead in their careers, they had honored places in the community. And as I kept piling frantic act upon frantic act, and as I kept going to therapy for years, saying, I'm in survival mode, I've just got to survive this latest crisis. Somehow all that running around in circles did not really lead to a victorious life. So, first step, okay, my plan for living, not working so great. I remember I converted to Judaism, and about the same time I was sleeping with every attractive woman that I could, and these two plans weren't really working together in a complementary fashion. They were kind of undercutting each other. The more you play around, the less easy it is to take your prayer life seriously. The more seriously you take your prayer life, less easy it is to play around. So it's kind of diametrically opposed pursuits for kind of canceling my life out. Yeah, getting sentimental here. Is it okay for me to get sentimental and vulnerable on this stream? Big Dennis Prager fan. Dennis Prager was the man. I had so much admiration for Dennis Prager. I just wanted to follow him and follow his teachings to the ends of the earth. It's like the typical narcissist. We like to idealize and devalue people. Some people we idealize way beyond all their merits, and other people we devalue way below their merits. And so many of the people that were familiar to me, kind of had contempt for them. They weren't Dennis Prager. And Dennis Prager, put him on a big pedestal. Put Judaism on a big pedestal. By converting to Judaism, I was going to turn my life around. By practicing Dennis Prager's teachings, I was going to turn my life around. I was going to become a winner, just like Dennis Prager. And Dennis Prager recommended a couple of books by Robert Stoller. I think one of them was The Dynamics of Sexual Excitement. And I read that, and read some other books that Robert Stoller wrote on the porn industry. And in 1995, I got the great idea, oh, this will make Dennis Prager so proud. I will write a book on the history of sex in film. What better way to integrate my Judaism, my promiscuity, my reverence for Dennis Prager, my passion for ethical monotheism, my Bible-based values and ethics, my journalism experience. I'm just gonna put it all together in Tikkun Olam, baby. Tikkun Olam. I'm gonna bring the Mashiach. God sent me to porn. God sent me to investigate the darker regions, the nether regions of the porn industry. Gonna make God proud. Gonna make Dennis Prager proud. Gonna make all the disparate elements of my life fit together. Strangely enough, it didn't really work out that way. As people got word on what I was doing, they kept asking me, well, what does Dennis Prager think about what you're doing? It got so embarrassing that I eventually sent Dennis Prager an email saying, oh, everyone's asking me, you know, what you think about what I'm doing, and shall I just tell them that you're appalled and concerned and amused? And I think he said something like that was fine. This is not a verbatim memory, it's to that effect. So you decide whether or not I seem like the type of bloke who has a fairly accurate memory for some email exchange back in 1997. Yeah, I was sent to elevate the divine sparks from the Kleepote side. Integral Porn Productions. And so there I was at Temple. And all my friends at Temple, they got a copy of my movie, What Women Want. That 1996 classic, which must have inspired the Mel Gibson movie of the same name. And it was amazing. I shared that movie around. It was this like really thoughtful investigation of the human condition. Yeah, I even used a stage name, Dick Dundee. And I was the producer, the writer, the director. And I was in there interviewing these stars as they were at work. Yeah, I did that. You put it in a vulgar way, you know, as Luke ever banged a star. Yeah, but not because I liked it. I just did that for journalistic purposes. I was only following the scientific method to its ultimate conclusion. Yeah, I would have had kids. I mean, I could have really served as a great role model. Say, kids, this is the way an honorable man leads his life. So I did this. Yeah, that's true. Glib says, Luke only bangs porn stars who read books. That's absolutely true. I've never banged a woman who didn't like to read books. Like every woman I've ever been with has liked to read books. Because I'm not just about some fleeting, sensual exchange of body fluids and friction. No, I'm about soul connection. I'm about deep, deep connection. I'm talking about a connection of the body and the mind and of the spirit and the soul, all coming together as one. That's what I'm about. I was never just out there getting off. I was out there talking to people about books and getting off. So I've never performed any gross sex acts. Like, I've had women who were, you know, they were stars in their genre, and they would plead with me to do these perverse and gross things. But being an ethical monotheist, being a follower of Dennis Prager, I said no. I would not demean myself or her into doing some of these gross things about putting my fingers certain places. I was not going to make the sex act a tawdry act. If you read my memoir, you'll see where Kit Natividad, who was, I think, about 52 at the time, I was about 28, I just went there to interview her, and she pled with me to do these embarrassing things. But as a strong moral figure, I said no. Like, even when I was promiscuous, I was still upholding traditional morality, traditional sexual positions, Christian missionary positions. I was not going to demean either one of us by doing foul, perverse acts. Because I knew that God was watching at all times. Sublimated road rage here. Absolutely. I knew that God was there. I knew that God was in the bedroom. I remember I went to a Shabbat dinner and just had this immediate connection with this woman. And she was studying at the University of Judaism. And I think she was thinking about becoming a rabbi. And she'd just been arrested, caught by cops in the backseat of a car with another woman. And because I was such a mensch, I walked her home. And yeah, she invited me in, and we each had a nice glass of water. And yeah, I massaged her feet. One thing led to another. But this wasn't the kind of tawdry interaction that you guys are afraid occurred. No, on this Shabbat, as we crawled into her bed, she said, I like to talk about Torah in bed. And when Torah talk, we did. In addition to all sorts of other things. And she would not permit the missionary position. She said it was because it was patriarchal. I think perhaps because she equated it with the, you know, missionary Christian. You know, as a Jew, we must reject all things Christian. So no missionary position. Like, unless I just needed it to get started. Like, but only just a few seconds. And surprisingly, I got into trouble because I wasn't supposed to go to that event, because the leader of that event had said that people were disturbed by my, oh no, come on please, oh no, I'm going to block traffic, oh, we're disturbed by my sense of humor. And he asked me to stay away, and I kind of justified that it was okay for me to go. And I wasn't supposed to be there. I wasn't supposed to meet that woman. And then Motzi Shabbos, okay, after I spent the Shabbat day in Shul, I gave this woman a call. I mean, I'd had 3 wonderful orgasms with her that night, and we talked about Torah, and we didn't agree on anything. She was the crunchy granola Berkeley type. And she said, I don't think we have anything in common. Like, do you realize how cheap I felt? How used I felt? How humiliated I felt? Like, I had shared with her, like, the best night of my life. Or, like, at least in the top 20. And then she said, I don't think we have anything in common. Like, we'd spent an hour together over Shabbat dinner. We'd gone home. We'd had a glass of water together. I'd given her a foot massage. We talked about Torah. And The next morning I got up and went to temple, and then when the Shabbat ended, she told me, I don't think we have anything in common. So, Luke, which of your regular guests do you dislike the most? Chat, give us guesses. So my life just wasn't working. Like, on the one hand, I'd connect with a woman, but she was from Venezuela, and she didn't speak English, and I didn't really speak Spanish, and she was going back to Venezuela. Yeah, she was Jewish, but the connection didn't lead anywhere. My life just wasn't working. So, like, step one was like just admitting that my life didn't work. Yeah, I had all these wonderful erotic adventures, and I had my shares of highs, and I had my shares of lows, but the pieces of my life just didn't work. And there were some disturbing patterns. I was unable to sustain relationships with women. I undervalued my services in the workplace. I've never asked for a raise in my life. I think people have offered me more money. I said, no, I'm not worth that. So I had this fundamental low sense of myself, which I try to hide with my narcissistic, grandiose fantasies. And I try to remember all the women I'd banged, but it didn't really work. I'd go to temp jobs, and I'm going to be working with this attractive woman, and she crawls under the desk to plug in my dictation machine. And I said something like, I'm going to enjoy this, what a lovely view. Bam, I got fired. I got fired from about 3 or 4 temp jobs for inappropriate speech. I remember one temp job, I was like sharing around copies of my movie, and I got in trouble for that. And another temp job, or many temp jobs, I was working on my book, my magnum opus, first book I published in 1999, A History of X, 100 Years of Sex and Film. Yeah, I was working on the book when I was at work. I'd come in early to work because I didn't really have a computer, and so I'd work on it there, and it kind of made people feel uncomfortable. And yeah, so I kind of violated a lot of workplace protocols, and inappropriate speech and like highly sexualized speech would get me in trouble. And I'd like use the fax machine to send out faxes relating to my book. And then I didn't realize that the fax machine always spits out a copy, a confirmation copy. And so I'm at my desk, and I sense the whole workplace, the whole office is looking at me and talking about me because they've shared my confirmation page on my fax, which, let me tell you, is about HIV and the type of behaviors in the porn industry that causes HIV. And they were sharing it all around the office and whispering and pointing and staring at me. And then eventually they came over and and gave me the confirmation copy. Boy, did I feel pretty bad about that. I mean, I was so humiliated. I kept trying to do, 2 jobs at once. I'd like putatively do the job I was hired to do, and then I'd try to do my book and other highbrow journalistic projects. And surprisingly, this did not work out in my favor. So I got a really bad track record with various temp agencies. Kind of left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. I met a lot of women with these temp jobs, but surprisingly, when I gave them copies of my movie, that didn't really encourage them to want to get to know me better. And some people were even offended. I don't think they realized the humanity that went into that movie. They just kind of looked at the box cover and they went to hasty conclusions. So I had this problem with offending people, which my therapist would tell me offending people is hurting people. So I was going around hurting people, provoking them into hurting me back in reply and fire me. So life just wasn't working. It was just embarrassing. Like, if I was to run into those people that I'd humiliated myself before with my careless sharing, my careless whispers, I wouldn't really look forward to that. Like, there are people that I knew at Temple, there was this one girl that I really, really liked, and I wanted to marry her. But I thought the best thing to do would be to give her father a copy of my, manuscript in progress. And after I did that, he never wanted me to talk to his daughter again. I guess because it was a traditional Persian family, Persian Jewish family. Yeah, like I shared with him a chapter of, my manuscript in progress for my first book, A History of X. And then he just always shooed me away from his daughters. And then now when I run into his daughters at shul, it's kind of embarrassing. They ask me about, my time reporting on or making one movie in a certain genre. One movie should not define me, okay? I am more than just what women want, okay? I'm more than just, a movie producer, director, writer, and performer. But I just get typecast because that's the most shocking, embarrassing, humiliating thing I've ever done. So there wasn't a real good way to springboard from making what women want to future economic success. It really wasn't the best thing to bring to a job interview. It didn't appear to qualify me for other jobs. Decided not to put it on my resume. And so I'm engaged in all sorts of interesting endeavors, but they weren't really coming together in a way that served me and that gave my life traction and slingshotted me from success to success. And I wasn't exactly accumulating deep and meaningful friendships or professional accomplishments. Instead, I was accumulating a lot of embarrassing interactions with people who never wanted to see me again. So, step one, I had to admit that my plan wasn't really working. Bye-bye.